this is something that has been going on for at least the past week. The first that I saw was the news that Abyss and Sanjay Dutt were hired by the WWE to be producers. Then from there, it went to Jeff Jarrett. Then from there, it went to Hurricane Shane Helms. And today, what was the latest? Who's the newest, General? Help me out.
Oh, it's that Daivari. Is that his name?
Yeah, Sean Daivari. Okay, so now we have 5 bookers that I would say are probably five producers, bookers, whatever you want to say, that were probably mainly producing TNA content.
Yeah, it's very curious, actually.
My question is, what the hell's going on? That's my question. That's what I want to discuss here with this. Saint, did you hear these news reports, and what do you make of it? Because I think it's very, very intriguing that the WWE is hiring these 5 guys.
Oh, yeah, I've been aware of this for the last week or so, basically, since it's been reported. Honestly, I look at it this way. I think just like what we're doing here, I think they're basically preparing for war, essentially, because I think they don't want to admit it, but I think they're worried about what's on the horizon with AEW starting up. I don't think they're ready, bro. This is like going to be the perfect storm, honestly. And I don't think they're ready for it.
General, I don't know if the Saint here has our phones tapped, but I'm pretty sure I basically said the exact same thing to you about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start watching what I say about the Saint on the phone calls now that I know who's listening. So I'll say this, too. It's intriguing to me that they are all TNA/Impact guys that have relationship with TNA Impact. That may not mean a thing. But one thing for sure, it seems like, and we've seen this before with Vince McMahon, he'll go out and try to buy up all the talent. Is it possible that right now he's going to try to go out and buy up all the wrestling minds so there's nobody to help AEW along the way? I don't think he can do it. There's too many wrestling minds out there to buy them all up. But, boy, it seems like he's getting off to a hell of a start.
I'll say this, too, piggybacking off both of you. When you take a look at wrestling on television, I got to think that they're targeting Impact producers for a reason. I mean, you're not seeing them hiring Delirious from ROH. You're not seeing them bringing Jado and Gato over from New Japan. No, it's TNA. TNA is the only one that came close, and by came close, I mean, at least challenge them with existing, So I think that's got to be it, man. I mean, AEW we know has Billy Gunn, but where else are they going to get some talent? Now, like you said, they're not going to be able to buy up anybody. There's a bunch of guys out there that they can grab, but it sure seems fishy to me that this is Jarrett and his boys, basically. It's Abyss. Abyss has been with TNA forever. Why now? Why now? I think it's the threat of AEW. He's scared. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care what his name is. I don't care if his last name ends in a color. Okay? You could say what you want, bro. Vince ain't scared of AEW. They ain't shit. They're barroom outlaw wrestling. I don't give a shit what you say. You're wrong. This is further proof. This is further proof, and we're going to get into more of it as we go on here. All of a sudden, everybody's leaving. All of a sudden, there's talk about this guy leaving and this girl leaving, and this one's frustrated and this tag team's frustrated. You know why? Because now there's somewhere to go.
That's right.
There's somewhere to go.
Hope is on the horizon. The boys have hope. And the hope lies in AEW. Vince McMahon knows that. Just the other day, we talked about Triple H in his interview last week on ESPN. When he was asked about AEW, he really kind of downplayed it and said, well, yeah, they're competition, but we compete with everybody. We compete with the news channels. We compete with regular television. We compete with the NFL. We're competing with everybody. This is just somebody else we have to compete with. And maybe that is so. Mm-hmm. But we are seeing the beginnings of, as the Electric City Saints said, they're preparing for war here. And to me, just that they're doing that there's this preemptive going on, tells me that Vince McMahon isn't going to overlook this. He's not going to undersell it and or no sell it. Bro, he got caught once before with his pants down when he didn't think somebody was going to challenge him, and it almost cost him his damn company. He's not going to let that happen again. He knows he's dealing with another billionaire, and I think he's shaking in his shoes. And, dude, we talked about it before. The timing's right. Vince already set forth this XFL thing.
Yep.
So he's got a lot of baskets, a lot of eggs in those baskets over there, too, that he's going to have to be playing with. The timing's perfect.
I look at something this way, too, with the signing of all these producers. It's kind of weird to me because have you guys ever heard of the proverb, too many cooks spoil the broth?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of weird that they're hiring all these guys at once because I think there just might be too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean, that seems like basically you guys mentioned 5 different people. I believe that's a lot of people producing, and they already have Road Dogg. They already have Triple H producing NXT. I think. Who else do they got? I think Shawn Michaels helps with some of that sometimes. There's a lot of that's a lot of names and a lot of egos, and I think what might happen with that is somebody might have a good idea, and the rest of the guys might not go for it, and that might ruin like a whole entire storyline or a whole entire feud, whatever you want to say.
The way I've always heard that was too many cooks could spoil the coney sauce. But I'll say this too: we listened to a shoot video years ago, if you remember, Edwards, that Kevin Nash talked about back in the days of WCW, and it was the same type of thing. He said there were too many cooks. Basically, he talked about the chili. And how people would come and somebody would piss in it, somebody would shit in it and all that. And that was the way he described it. And he was talking about the very thing that the Electric City Saint was just talking about, that there were just too many people involved and the whole thing blew up from it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that Triple H said in that interview was, I mean, he made it kind of sound like, well, we don't know exactly what Abyss will be doing. I just know he's a good guy and I want good guys on my team. Well, what are you doing with him? You don't know. You just said you don't know. So why are you hiring him?
He actually said, he actually did say, we don't know. We're going to try to find the best fit for these guys. Now, we don't know where that is yet, but we're going to work that all out. So they're hiring a bunch of guys without knowing yet what they're going to do with them. Again, that tells me they're trying to put the corner on the market. They're trying to get these guys out of there, under their control, so AEW can't hire them. Not that AEW would be looking for these guys anyway. There's plenty of other guys out there. Vince Russo's still out there. Jim Cornette is still out there. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are still out there.
Well, some of those guys hate them. But, yeah, I see your point. I mean, there's plenty of guys that they can hire if they wanted to.
They also have Arn Anderson. He produces for them. Billy Kidman, Dean
Malenko. There's a bunch of guys back there.
There's just so many guys already. It's like I really feel like they really are stocking up some ammunition here for potential war here with AEW. It seems like for a change, Vince isn't fooling around here.
Yeah, stay tuned. I guess we'll have to see. That's
Let me ask you guys, if there was one of those 5 guys that you would have liked to see AEW get, which one is it? Because I actually do have one in mind.
I would say, for me, it would be Abyss, and it's because he's Abyss. He's the hardcore maniac monster, and then he's also Joseph Parks. I mean, that's 2 polar opposite things, and I don't know specifically the content that he's produced over the years for TNA, but to me, that shows a range so if a guy can do it, if he can perform it, I'm sure he can produce, from one end of the spectrum to the other.
I would completely agree with Jeff. I think Abyss is probably the biggest name there, honestly. Of course, though, like he just alluded to, we really don't know exactly what they do backstage as far as producing, like what they're coming up with. But if he could, I think he's one of them guys that he could do that, but he could also fit into any kind of spot you could put him into as far as actually being on the roster as well to help put younger guys over, or maybe even put him in a main event spot. He's done it in the past, and I wouldn't say he's obviously the one of the best guys at being a main eventer, but he's shown that he can succeed at doing it, and be a potent like element to any kind of promotion.
I was kind of impressed with Hurricane Helms when he was in TNA and some of the work he did. He seems like he stays on the cutting edge of shit, whether it be technology or what have you. He seems like a guy that is in the know, and I was impressed with that when he was in TNA. So he's a guy that I thought, could be an asset. But now Vince has them all, so we'll see what he does with them.
Yep, we'll see.
They absolutely need guys like that too, quite frankly, because to me, like I look at WWE and a lot of the stuff that they're doing, it's weird. It's like it almost seems like they're living like 10 years ago. Like a lot of the stuff that they're doing now, they could have been doing 10 years ago.
Bro, we had a conversation just the other day when you played that clip, Hollywood, the promotional clip for Soldiers Shoot, about that conversation we had regarding Finn Balor and how they described him as a cross between James Dean and John Wayne. Who the hell came up with that? I mean, you're talking about guys that were relevant in what, 1950, 1960, maybe 1970 with John Wayne?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, whoever that was, whether it was Vince McMahon, who I think it probably was, or one of those other dinosaurs that he has working for him, what a way to describe it. Like, what the hell? I got to believe that 24-year-olds and 25-year-olds that are watching that product probably like, who's James Dean?
Yeah, there's nobody cool on the planet right now.
No.
No, it died.
Just James Dean and John Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.